You're going to freeze to death, not today, maybe not tomorrow. But when the collapse comes, and it will come, you'll be sitting in the dark, shivering, staring at your blue hands thinking, why the hell didn't I learn this before? Because you thought fire was guaranteed, that firewood would always be available, that matches grow on trees. Spoiler, they don't. And when the temperature drops to 14°F and you're without flame, without fuel, without hope, well, then you'll remember this video, if you still have fingers to remember with. Oh, and before you freeze mentally too, hit that like button. Comment still alive and subscribe, because if you're going to die of hypothermia, at least help the algorithm first. Priorities. Now, pay attention. There's an ancestral technique nobody uses anymore. Something Arctic nomadic peoples mastered and modern science confirmed to be brutally effective. I'll show you this technique, but only in part 4. Before that, you need to understand the basics, because skipping steps in survival is like skipping the tutorial in Dark Souls. You'll die fast and angry. By the way, if you're thinking about serious survival, there is a video on the channel about prolonged blackouts that complements this perfectly. Link is in the pinned comment. But focus on this first. Cold kills faster than darkness. Let's start with the obvious that nobody takes seriously. Step 1. Understanding the biology of cold ore. Why your body is a traitor. Your body is a thermal idiot. It burns 2,000 calories a day just to maintain 98.6 F internally. When external temperature drops, it enters metabolic panic and starts shutting down extremities, fingers, disposable, nose, unnecessary luxury. Your body is a Stalinist dictator redistributing heat. The core, heart, brain, lungs gets everything. The periphery can go to hell. How heat loss works. Imagine your body as a poorly insulated house during a blizzard. There are, for heat thieves trying to kill you, conduction, direct contact with cold surfaces, sit on frozen ground, lost 25% of body heat in 10 minutes. Convection, wind stealing heat from skin. Each mph of wind reduces perceived temperature by 3.6 F. Radiation, your body emitting heat like a dumb radiator. 60% of thermal loss happens through radiation if you're stationary. Evaporation, sweat and respiration. Each gram of sweat evaporated steals 0.58 calories from the body. Practical instructions. Insulation test. Grab a piece of cardboard or newspaper. Sit on it for 5 minutes. Now sit directly on the frozen ground. Feel the difference? That's your butt teaching you thermal physics. Layers, not bulk. 3 thin layers beats 1 thick coat. The air between layers is the real insulator. Works like a thermos. The vacuum still air holds the heat. Protect the extremes. Head, neck, wrists, ankles. These are the heat drains. A decent hat saves more than a coat. Visual comparison. Your unprotected body in the cold is like a cell phone in winter. The battery drains 3x faster because chemical reactions slow down. You're not losing heat. You're leaking it through every pore like a punctured ship. The real risk. Hypothermia doesn't start at -4 F. It starts at 50 F if you're wet or windy. The stages. Mild 95 to 89.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Uncontrollable shivering. Your body trying to generate heat through muscle contractions. Moderate 89.6 to 80.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Mental confusion. Slow movements. You get stupid before you die. Severe. Below 80.4 F. Shivering stops. Terrible sign. Dilated pupils. Weak pulse. You're technically dying. The cruelest part. Between 80.4 to 286 F. You feel hot and take off your clothes. It's called paradoxical undressing. It's your brain glitching before game over. Final phrase. Understanding how you lose heat is 50% of the battle. The other half is improvising. Shelter with what you have, and we're doing that now. Using techniques indigenous Siberian peoples have used for 40,000 years. But there's a specific secret about where to build that shelter that changes everything. I'll tell you that right after you understand the basic structure. Step 2. Build a thermal shelter without tools. You don't need fire. You need physics. Inadequate shelter kills faster than lack of food. You can last 3 weeks without eating, 3 days without water, but only 3 hours without shelter in extreme conditions. And no, a tent doesn't count. Tents are nylon coffins when wind hits 37 miles per hour. The science of shelter. Heat rises convection. Still air insulates minimal conduction. Thermal mass retains heat capacity. Your ideal shelter needs block 100% wind, retain warm air close to body, have low ceiling. Less volume equals less wasted heat, ground insulation, or you become a popsicle. Practical instructions. Improvised snow cave even without deep snow. Location. Look for snow banks, protected slopes, or natural accumulations. No snow, dirt, dry leaves, branches, anything that creates an air barrier. Size, just big enough for you to sit, lie curled up. Volume equals enemy. Think comfortable coffin. Not living room, low entrance, warm air rises, elevated entrance, heat escapes, make the door below the level where you'll sleep. Platform, elevate yourself from the ground using branches, dry leaves, backpack, even extra clothes. Even for inches make a brutal difference. Ventilation, punch a fist-sized hole in the roof. Seriously, dying from carbon monoxide if you light something inside later, or CO to build up is pathetic. Visual comparison. A good thermal shelter works like an igloo. The snow, earth round absorbs wind and insulates. Warm air from your body gets trapped inside. You become the heat source. It's like sleeping inside a giant sleeping bag made of nature. Alternative, debris hut if no snow. Find a fallen log or make an A structure with thick branches. Cover with layers of dry leaves, small branches, moss, bark, minimum 24 inches thick. Fill the interior with dry leaves to lie on top. Narrow entrance, covered with more leaves. Looks like an animal den. Perfect. Animals understand survival better than you. The real risk, poorly made shelters are traps. If you let wind through, you'll have an accelerated cooling zone. If the roof is too high, body heat disperses if you don't insulate from the ground. Conduction sucks heat 5x faster than air. And here's the fatal error that kills people every year. Building shelter in depressions or valleys. Cold air is dense. It descends and accumulates in low parts. You want to be above the cold air pool, but protected from wind. This strategic location is the secret I promised, and there's more. There's a sweet spot of altitude on the slope that Siberian peoples always choose. I'll explain that in the next part. Along with a body insulation technique that seems crazy but works. Final phrase, right shelter equals you wake up alive. Wrong shelter equals you become a sad headline. Now let's make you into a human thermal machine. Step 3, the Siberian technique in extreme body insulation. Time for the promise. Remember I mentioned an ancestral technique. Here it is, dynamic layering plus controlled microenvironment. Translating from survivalese, you're going to create a personal thermal bubble using air, clothing and body position, without a single flame. The science of nomadic peoples. Nenets, Yakuts, Inuit. These guys survive minus 58F routinely, not because they have superpowers, but because they understand that still air is the best insulator, better than wool, better than down. The secret is trapping the air. Moisture kills more than cold. Sweat inside clothing equals 25x. Greater heat loss, fetal position plus thermal grouping, reduce exposed surface area plus air. Body heat. Practical instructions, smart layers. Layer 1 base, something that wicks moisture from skin. No cotton, it retains water. Ideal, wool, synthetics, don't have it. Use thin layers of anything dry. Layer to insulation, trapped air, crumpled newspaper between two shirts works absurdly well. Dry. Leaves inside a plastic bag, no holes becomes improvised thermal vest. Bubble wrap, thermal gold. Layer 3 windbreak, anything waterproof. Poncho, tarp, large plastic bags. Wind cannot touch layer 2. The Yakut trick, breath control. They use a scarf, cloth in front of the mouth too. Preheat air before entering lungs, prevents heat loss through breathing, capture exhaled moisture. Prevents condensation that wets inner clothing. Does it work? Absolutely. You lose up to 200 calories, hour just breathing cold air. Reducing this by 30% equals survival. Practical instructions, the thermal position, tight fetal position, knees to chest, arms crossed. Head down, reduces surface area by 40%. Hands in armpits, not in pockets. Armpits are 3.6F warmer. Then rest of body. Heel to heel, if there's someone else. Sit back to back or intertwined. Body heat sharing can increase perceived temperature by 9 to 14F. Visual comparison, think of a thermos. The bottle doesn't generate heat, it prevents heat from escaping. You're the hot coffee. The layers are the vacuum. The shelter is the outer bottle. Break any part of this system. The coffee cools and you die. The promised location. Remember the sweet spot on slopes. It's the upper third of the hill, but not at the top. Why? Top equals maximum wind, terrible valley equals cold air pool, terrible upper third equals above. Accumulated cold air. Protected from ridge wind, Siberian peoples always camp there. Temperature can be 9 to 18F higher than in the valley without fire. The real risk. The leading cause of death from hypothermia isn't a cold. It has too much sweat followed by stopping. You exert yourself building shelter, you sweat. Clothing gets wet, you stop. And then sweat evaporates, stealing heat. It's like throwing gasoline on the fire of your death. Solution: remove layers before sweating. Put them back on before feeling cold. Anticipate. Don't react. And there's more. There's a way to hack your metabolism to generate more internal heat, even without food. But this involves understanding how shivering works and when to force it purposefully. I'll teach you that now, along with the most controversial secret in this video. Speaking of complete preparation, if you master cold without fire and combine it with the prolonged blackout techniques I show in the other video, link in the pinned comment, you basically become immortal and collapse. But finish this first. Final phrase: you're now 60%. Yakut, missing 40%, and those are what separates surviving from thriving in frozen hell. Step for hack your metabolism, and the controversial secret: your body is a furnace. You just don't know how to turn it on. Basal metabolism burns around 1,400 calories day just to exist. But here's the part nobody tells you: you can activate shivering in a controlled way before hypothermia arrives. And yes, it seems crazy, but it works. The science of shivering. Phase 195 to 93.2 F, mild shivering, you still reason well. Phase to 93.2 to 89. 6 F, violent shivering, fine motor difficulty. Phase 3 below 89. 6 F, shivering stops terrible, means your body gave up. The trick: stay in phase 1 purposefully. Generate enough heat to not fall into phase 2, but without wasting energy. Practical instructions: controlled thermogenesis. Isometric tension. Contract large muscle groups: thighs, glutes, abdomen for 10 seconds. Relax for 20 seconds. Repeat. Generates heat without movement, which loses heat to environment. Deep rhythmic breathing. Deep inhalations increase metabolism by up to 15%. It's not hippie meditation, it's biochemistry. More OD equals more efficient cellular combustion. Micro exercises inside shelter. Small, controlled movements. Closing, opening fists, flexing toes. Keep muscles active without sweating. Visual comparison: your body is a diesel engine. Shivering is the engine idling, burning fuel, fat, glycogen to not shut down. Forcing micro contractions is like gentle revs to maintain operating temperature. The controversial secret: deliberate cold. Here's what survival experts won't tell you because it seems suicidal. Brief exposure to extreme cold can reset your internal thermostat. Wim Hof and adaptive thermogenesis studies proved. Short exposures 30 to 90 seconds to extreme cold, followed by rewarming. Increase production of brown adipose tissue. Bat burns calories to generate heat, like a biological heater. How to apply without dying. Inside the heated shelter, remove the outer layer for 60 seconds. Feel the cold on skin, not until violently shivering. Rage dress immediately. Repeat to 3x over hours. This trains your blood vessels to respond better, increases BAT, improves peripheral circulation. It's like vaccinating your body against cold. Warning: only do this if you already have adequate shelter, dry layers, and aren't in hypothermia. Doing this when already cold equals accelerating death. Timing is everything. Practical instructions: hydrate without losing heat. Cold water and stomach. Terrible idea. Your body spends absurd energy heating liquids from 30 to F to 98.6 F. Solutions: melt snow, ice, and mouth slowly. Don't swallow blocks, burns too many calories. If you have container, put water, snow inside clothing near body. Body heat melts. You drink room temperature water relatively. Eat snow only. If well hydrated and warm, dehydration plus cold equals fatal cocktail. The real risk: hypothermia. Doesn't warn when it's going to kill you, it lies. Mental confusion is a symptom, but you don't perceive that you're confused. It's like being drunk. You think you're fine while trying to open the door with the car key. Objective signs that you're screwed: stop shivering, body gave up, slow movement plus slurred speech, dilated pupils even with light sudden urge to sleep. Don't sleep, it's the brain shutting down. If someone enters this state near you, don't rub limbs, causes reperfusion shock. Ice crystals in bloodstream. Warm the core first: chest, neck, armpits, groin. Warm drink, never hot, never alcohol. Skin to skin contact inside sleeping bag. Blankets. Now comes the final part, and the most important, because surviving the first night is easy. Surviving the 5th night without food, without hope, without fire, that's when psychology comes in. And you're going to need it. Final phrase: body warmed, metabolism optimized, shivering controlled. You're a machine. Now the part that kills most people is missing: the mind. Step 5: survival psychology and closing, the truth nobody talks about. Cold doesn't kill most people, despair kills. Hypothermia has a silent accomplice, paralyzing dread. You can have the best shelter, the best layers, the metabolism of a Yakult. But if you panic and make stupid decisions, you'll die just the same. The science of fear. When your brain perceives death threat, extreme cold equals threat. It releases cortisol and adrenaline. Fight, flight response. Problem: cold isn't a bear. You can't run from it. So the body stays in a stress loop that accelerates metabolism, burns reserves faster, reduces logical reasoning, impulsive decisions, causes mental fatigue. You give up before you need to. The screw it phenomenon. Case studies of fatal hypothermia show many victims gave up before physiological death. They had resources, they could have survived, but mentally, they shut down. It's called give-upitis in medical literature. It's not weakness, it's an evolutionary bug. Your brain concludes the situation is unsustainable and starts conserving energy by shutting down. Functions, including will to live. Practical instructions, mental discipline, 3-second rule. When you feel panic, despair, count to 3, breathing deeply. Don't make decisions before that. Panic equals accelerated stupidity. Micro tasks. Don't think need to survive the night. Think need to adjust this layer now, then need to check ventilation. Small sequential objectives prevent paralysis by scale. Internal narrative. Talk seriously to yourself. I'm cold, but I'm alive. I have shelter. I've made it for hours. I can make it for more. Sounds like motivational nonsense. It's not. It's cognitive reprogramming. Checking ritual every hour. Do a physical and mental check. Physical. Do I move fingers? Do I feel extremities? Am I shivering controllably or violently? Mental. Do I know where I am? Do I know what day it is? Can I do simple math? If not, you're entering moderate hypothermia. Visual comparison. Prolonged survival without resources is like holding a plank in water. You don't need to swim, just don't let go. The moment you let go, mentally give up, you sink. The most common mistake: people underestimate the duration of suffering. First hour in the cold, scary but manageable. 5th hour, 6th, 10th, pain accumulates. Discomfort becomes psychological torture. Solution: accept it's going to suck. Don't fight the discomfort. Negotiate with it. I'll endure 1 more hour, then reassess. Always 1 more hour. Practical. Instructions. Rescue signals. If you have cell signal, rare but possible. 1 text message consumes 1% battery. Call only if certain of rescue. Dead phone equals 0 contact hope. Visual signals. Fire if you can make it. Equals smoke during day. Ground contrast. Branches forming giant X. Stones in line. Anything that stands out from nature. Mirror. Metal reflecting sun, range up to 9 miles. Sound. Signals. 3 whistles equals universal for help. 3 of anything screams. Knocks equals emergency pattern. The real risk. False security. You survived the first night. Think you've mastered the cold. Fatal error. Survival isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. Each night drains reserves. Fatigue accumulates. Errors increase. Degradation checklist. Night 1. Alert. 90% capacity. Night 2-3. Mild fatigue. 70% capacity. Slightly worse decisions. Night 4-5. Severe fatigue. 50% capacity. High risk of critical error. Night 6+. Pure survival mode. You're a thermal zombie. Signs you need to change strategy. Can't keep shelter warm anymore. Reserves exhausted. Persistent mental confusion. Mild chronic hypothermia. Injuries. Illnesses developing low immunity plus cold equals infection. At this point, risk of movement beats risk of staying put. Consider migrating to better shelter. Seeking civilization or making more aggressive. Rescue signal. Fire. Mirrors. Oh, you're still alive. Congratulations. You just learned what 90% of the population ignores until the moment they need it, and then it escalates. Now you know, your body is a traitor that needs to be hacked. Shelter beats fire, always was, always will be. Smart layers beat dumb bulk. Shivering is your friend until it isn't. Location in upper third of hill, thanks Yakuts. Metabolism can be forced, but carefully. Deliberate cold trains resistance, but don't be an idiot. The mind gives up before the body. Don't let it. All loops closed, all promises fulfilled. That Siberian technique, you learned it. The altitude sweet spot. Revealed, the controversial secret. Given and you probably thought it was crazy. But it's science, the final truth. Fire is comfort. Shelter is survival. When the collapse comes, and it will come, whether it's climate, economic, or the zombie apocalypse you secretly hope for, you won't have infinite firewood, magic matches, or eternal flame. You'll have what I taught you here. And that, ironically, might be enough. Or not. I'm not a fortune teller. but at least you won't die stupid. If you want to complete the survival arsenal, check out the video about blackout. Link S in the pinned comment. Cold plus dark is the combo that kills most in collapse. But you already knew that. Last phrase, cold doesn't negotiate, but you learn to cheat.